Hi, this is Ellie Barnes again, and I just finished a little test video, which I like so much. I'm posting it first as an introduction to this. Again, this is my psychic predictions for the United States for the second half of December and most of January 2021. And I do concentrate on these four quadrants for areas and regions of the United States, just for practicality. You know, you got to decide how you're going to do it. So I'm going to do my standard technique. I'm going to put down 4 cards for each quadrant. Sometimes I shuffle independently for each quadrant, and often I shuffle once and lay down the cards for each quadrant. I'm going to just shuffle once. I believe tarot is such a magnificent tool. All ideas are contained in it, and a good psychic will know what the cards are telling it. They will be hearing and seeing the information in their third eye, their psychic eye, their screen of vision, sort of, as we call it. And so I can get what I need out of the deck. I don't need to reshuffle. When I ask a new question in a new framework, I need to reshuffle, and I believe that's true for reading using a tool like tarot. When we're doing divination. So I want to focus my mind on the United States of America and see the map in my mind and see the regions. I have the Northwest, I have the Southwest, I have the Northeast, and I have the Southeast. And they contain each mini states. And those of you who continue to watch these YouTube videos know how much trouble I have with my states. I'm not even going to try it today. I'm just going to call them the regions. Northwest, Southwest, Northeast, Southeast. All right, universe and our guides. Speaking to and teaching my students and clients, particularly my students and clients. Please be with us here today to analyze and discuss our country, the United States, what is happening to our country, and what we can expect and experience living within our country. All of us have lives, we have homes, we have families and friends, we have jobs, we have money, we have activities, we have our own health and our own minds. We understand those are individual questions, and right now I am speaking in generalities about the United States. So we want to put down 4 cards for each quadrant, starting with the Northwest, and then the Southwest, and then the Northeast, and then the Southeast. 4 cards each, and these will be for about 30 to 45 days, the half of December, second half of December 2020, and most of January. I mean, I'll probably do a video for January if I can remember, but I'd like to kind of see the strong overlap of where we're really headed into 2021. We've got some great astrological occurrences going on through the next 45 days. Go above our brains into the infinite field, finding true and accurate facts and information. Bring that down to us, onto the table, into the reading. The universe is infinite. It contains all information. We're seeking truth and finding it now in ways we understand comfortably and easily for our friends, our colleagues, our students, and clients. So must it be. Amen. Well, you know, not surprisingly, I've always really been seeing this. The country's doing a lot better than we hear on the news. I mean, I know we've all got our individual problems, don't get me wrong, and I'm not making light about the stresses around us right now. But globally, the only area that's not doing really well is the Northeast. And all the political cards are in that group also, okay? So it does include Washington, D.C., and I will talk more about that when I get there. So in the Northwest, we have Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. You guys are probably doing, the whole West is doing really, really well. The Lovers. Again, this card's come up in every single reading, so I know people are still having sex in the United States. I'm really glad to see it. It's good for your body. Have sex. It's natural. It's natural. It's what they were doing in the Garden of Eden. They don't have their clothes on. They're transparent. They're natural. They're free. They're enjoying each other. They're enjoying their lives. Good. And there's a lot of nice feeling in that area too. I think you guys really care about each other and are helping each other. Six of Wands, public acclaim. Some manufacturing and industry that's in the Northwest is going to receive some global contracts in the next 45 days. And the money and the business from other countries is really going to flow through those states. And you don't think about those states, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, as big money-making states, but they do have their industry and their activity. And I want everyone to pay attention to natural resources. Please protect, as corporations ravage and pillage the natural resources. Make sure that's done in a fair way and that the money is distributed in a fair way. Okay? Love that. The world is, again, why I said global contracts. This is everything. This is a really successful card in my understanding of the tarot. It's a card of protection and unity. It's a card of coming full circle and having really good, successful closure and outcomes. And I just feel that quadrant of the U.S. is really working together against coronavirus. The vaccine, people will wait their turn so that the most vulnerable will get it first. They will not fight and cheat to get it first because of their ego. They will place themselves in proper order according to need. Six of Pentacles is a money receiving card and a banking card. I do think you guys are going to get what you need financially. I think your state governments are handing out money in really fair ways. I think they are distributing emergency funds, FEMA funds, etc., whatever is really sort of set in our budget for coronavirus issues. Those of you who have applied for small business loans in the Northwest will be getting them, and banking in general, especially farms and animal farms. You've taken a beating, but you've got some really nice things coming your way, and I really like your families and friends, and I think you're working together very well. I also want to say I think your governors and mayors are accessible for you to talk to. Please do. Let them know what you want and need, and it will be delivered. Okay, Southwest. California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. There are some big states. Texas and California are massive states, and they contain a lot of people. And there is also a lot of money and different kinds of industry in the Southwest, and a lot of money. And these cards are really great. Queen of Pentacles is great for women-owned businesses and matriarchal families and lineages. This is a really nice earth card too. People are healthy. They're abiding the lockdowns, and they're staying at home when it is recommended. Really, with the shelf life of coronavirus, it's only about a 10-day period. If everyone stayed home 14 days, if it had happened, we weren't able to do it, obviously, and we probably still can't do it because people just don't think it applies to them. But if you could all stay home for 14 days and not even go to the grocery, just shut it down, live off what you have to eat, worm soup. God, look up what the Russians ate in World War II. You don't have anything to complain about. And stayed home. We would beat coronavirus in 14 days. Amazing that it's that easy. I guess we just can't do it. But the Southwest does it. Their industries are strong. Their women businesses are really strong. Two of Pentacles is reorganizing how you make a living, financial change, being on a budget. I still think this is very business oriented. This whole region is very woman oriented in my reading. So women start businesses, find women run businesses, go to work for them. Everything that takes into a consideration Mother Earth and the environment, go to them and work for them. There's balancing of the budget in this region, and there's a flow of money in business. I do think there's kind of an exodus out of some places in California. You will make a mini California somewhere else. I really keep seeing it, a lot of it in Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. Buy 10 acres, buy 30 acres instead of a little tiny house in a subdivision. You don't have to use it all right now. you could just start to be a steward for it. Everyone that can afford larger tracts of land, I would recommend getting larger tracts of land and investing, being a steward. It's really all we have in the future of the United States. One of the main components would be our natural resources. And if we don't individually look after them, the rest of the world will take them from us. Celebration and joy with our families and friends. These are small gatherings of our close, intimate friends and family over the holidays. It's going to be very small gatherings. And then the Empress is the mother, and Mother Earth, and pregnancy. So I'm going to predict on the whole western side of the United States, a lot of sex and a lot of pregnant women. Okay, good. The rule of limiting overpopulation is just one person has one child. So a couple may have two children. And when one person has two children, and 3 and 4, then you're overpopulating. So it's not saying don't have any. It's just saying if just one person has one, it's just called zero population control. It doesn't expand. It stays the same. I think that's okay. I recently looked up how many people a day die in China and India, for instance, because we've got 3,000 people a day right now dying of coronavirus in the U.S. And I'm always wondering, what size is that? Every day in India, 30,000 people die a day naturally, not of coronavirus, just on a regular day. And every day in China, 30,000 people die on a daily basis of everything. I didn't look up how many people are born in China and India. It's probably 40,000 a day, but or more. But huge numbers of people die every day, so it's part of nature. But in any way, in the Southwest, a lot of small family gatherings. The mother and the grandmothers will be at the head of the table, and many of them will be old. Many of them will have cooked and worked all day to prepare the food and clean the home. Take them a gift and thank them on your knees. We're really lucky that that's still happening around us, that women are working and cooking and feeding and cleaning so that the rest of us can pull up a chair and open a bottle of wine and sit around the table and talk. As I said again, small gatherings. It's a nice set of cards for nature. I just built a friend saw it recently and called it the Speakeasy. It's just outdoor living room with tables, chairs, lights. I'm going to invest in a heater. It's just the safe way still through 2021 to be around people. I've really limited it. I'm not around people except at work a little bit in a mask. And I haven't had a party in 2020. That's not true. I had some before March. But I'm known, very well known for my gatherings and parties, and they haven't happened. And many people are clamoring to get back to it. So we're going to do it outside. It's going to be beautiful. Good money, good politics in the whole western side of the United States. I'm going to do the Northeast last. Let's do the Southeast, okay? Expanded business. Everything here is rolling forward with business. I know a lot of small people are unemployed and their business is closed. I get that. It's true. It's really true in New Orleans. 50% of our stuff is boarded up. In the French Quarter, more than that. The streets are empty. But look to the future and look to other economies. Look to trade. Look to shipping. This is a globe, and there are a lot of people on it, and we all need a lot of stuff, and there's a lot going on. Get in the flow. Find what to do next. Don't get stuck because some pattern that you've been used to is terminating. Look for a new ship. Get on it. There's a lot to do. There's no reason to be sitting around. Go outside and pick up litter, for God's sake, if you find yourself with nothing to do. Help some little kids in your neighborhood learn to read. Sit outside on the stoop in your mask. Read. Write. Pick up litter. Talk to people. Encourage the world. It's a busy time for the Southeast. There's a lot going on for us and a lot of economy. I want to say that in all of the United States except the Northeast. 3 of Pentacles, building work structures, moving up at work, working together. I agree here also that we're going to follow the rules with the coronavirus vaccine. Those who are elderly and in healthcare are going to get it first. Police, firemen, teachers, they're going to get it. People at risk, yes. I think the systems roll out, and it really is nice. It's nice to see people compassionate and helping each other, and I do really feel like that's the framework for this country in the next couple of months. The Hermit, I want to say this politically, this is typically the wise guru and the teacher. these are the last dregs of the Trump supporters that are still unhappy about the way the election has gone. And to be honest, when I'm looking at anything in politics, I'm not educated in politics and I don't know the people I'm talking about at all. I'm only being able to read news articles or watch reports on my internet or read it on news sites. And the news sites I use are BBC News, the Washington Post, the New York Times, and Al Jazeera. I think they're good quality, readable and understandable sites. And so I try to scan those all weekly and understand the big stories that are going on as much as I can. I don't know politicians and I don't talk to them, so I don't have that firsthand knowledge. So I believe in the South particularly, we're isolating ourselves with our politics, and it's fine to feel and believe as you do. And it's important to read, research, and analyze, as I said in that first little video, analyze the world around you and look at the facts in the field and say, is this true? How is it right here, right now for me? What is my world experiencing? This is true for me, and I can know that. So refocus, a little bit there. We feel maybe a little bit isolated and left out of things. Don't focus on that. That's okay. We're very unhappy about spending smaller gatherings over the holidays. The South is traditionally a place of big family gatherings. Respect the elderly. Call them. Maybe go see them one at a time for a few minutes on the front porch and leave. Really spend some time thinking about what you want for the future. Love this card in general, the Star. It's a great card. It guarantees health and beauty in the future, and it's a card of real healing and mending. I use it in astrology. When the tarot card Star comes up, I believe that a person is following their true destiny. And I think the South is really an interesting region. It's my region, okay, so I know more about it. But historically, we've been through kind of a lot lately with our civil rights issues, Civil War issues, surprisingly still going on. We've had a lot of monuments taken down in the last couple of years in the South with a lot of attempts to rewrite history. I think we should allow history to stand and add to it as we learn and grow and are behaving in better ways and better models. When we remove history, we don't learn the lessons as well. So I think we should think about that a little bit more. And I think we are, the South, headed for real stardom in the United States, and many of us aren't really prepared for that. So get your personal lives organized and your business lives organized and your own philosophy, so that as you find yourself more on the spotlight and on the stage, you don't look like an idiot. Blessings. All right. Northeast. Wow, Minnesota. Oh, I didn't tell all the states for the Southeast. Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. I got those right. I think I'm doing pretty well with it. The Northeast is where all the states are. I don't know. Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Maryland, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland. I didn't get Massachusetts. Where is that? Huh. Oh, Massachusetts, right on next to Rhode Island. Got it. Okay. Well, it's going to be a really difficult winter. It's going to be cold and isolated and dark. Politics, I think, is the real problem here in this region. This is what this is talking about. Steel manufacturing happens in China, Canada, and Poland. I've been talking about steel. I've got steel clients. Ownership and this is what happens in the U.S. all the time, and people don't realize it. A company, a brand name, is it happened a lot. I recognize in art supplies, a particular kind of paint that I would buy, Grumbacher, Winsor Newton, Williamsburg, Sennelier, whatever, were from a certain country, France, England. They got bought out by larger companies, and then those companies got bought out by China. The name stays the same. You see Sennelier paints, and actually I do believe they still are owned by a company in France. but they're not. I mean, in general, these companies are not owned by what we think they are owned by. They're owned by international, multinational conglomerates. Strongly, where is the money? Okay, United States, Europe, and China. Okay, that's where the money is. The Middle East. The corporations and multinational companies are the name is in China. They're really mostly owned by China and the Middle East. Europe and the United States have probably a little bit of a less global holdings than China and the Middle East, like per dollar amount. But they're very savvy at not letting us know. They don't change the names. So I want to say that that's gone on in the Trump administration historically large. There's a lot of trade that's gone on and buying up of companies and selling and dividing of companies. And the politics have been, we're not even going to know it all for 10 more years. It's unfathomable to me. It happens in every presidency, don't get me wrong. There's a big exchange and turnover of power and money every time by alliances. Every time a new president goes in and puts his people in, who are they? They're the people working for the president in that term. They're going to get their way a little bit more. Their investment dollar is going to go further. They're going to be globally connected. They're going to have access to more information than you have. So when those people are in the seats, so to speak, senators, House of Representatives, etc., particularly lobbyists in D.C., they've got it. They've got the catbird seat. They are wonderful at puppeting us, and where we don't know, we really don't know. So in that area, there's going to be a lot of constriction and limitation. A lot of people are going to be sidelined politically, and I said this in my political video, and really removed from power. A lot of them. They know it's coming. They're now putting their head down and pretending like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. They'll all go into academia, right? They'll become professors again and think tank workers so they can try to make some kind of a decent $200,000 or $300,000 a year salary. Revolving door, that's why I think academics and politics get a little bit too close a lot of times. But I really do look at the Seven of Swords in my readings. It's two ways. It's either someone is sneaking up on you and stealing something from you, or you're sneaking and stealing, okay? The guy is looking behind him, not in front of him, and he's definitely getting away with something. And then Ace of Swords is power, victory, military might, political victory, unification and peacemaking. This has been going on before the elections, where the different sides and factions are negotiating. It's like fantasy football. If my team wins, if your team wins, how much money are we putting in the pot, and what do we get out of it? That goes on all year long, and everybody's placed their bets, and now they're cashing them in. And half of the people are really scrambling because they didn't bet on the winning team, and they're now trying to figure out how to reestablish themselves in their lives. I do think there's a new clarity coming to the Northeast. I think politics is still extremely prevalent in this region. I think it's a cold, windy winter for everyone. And I think the industrial and pharmaceutical bedrock, which really is in that region, high-tech manufacturing, medical manufacturing is in that region. Oil from Canada comes through there. Who really owns those things is changing hands. And it's coming less and less in the hands of the people. You might buy stocks in something, but I just think more and more is owned by the few. And I think in the Northeast that's happening a lot. We're up at night, we're worrying. There's really high coronavirus numbers. There's a lot of people alone. There's a lot of loneliness and sadness about this. And this is my card for existential angst. There's a real heaviness that hangs over a person with that card, that you really are not excited about the future and you expect doom and gloom. So that's the flavor. I think the inauguration is going to be very dry. I think it's going to be a cold, yucky day. I think that it's important that what happens in January right away is probably going to mark and flavor the 4 years of the Biden presidency. I think a lot is going to change that we're not expecting right now, and we're going to see a lot of things coming out that we didn't know were happening during the Trump administration. And I want to speak to this because I have a lot of clients asking me about political things and asking me, what do I do? What do I think? What do I do? I am not a political student. I am, frankly, not that interested in it because I feel so removed from it. I do vote and I do pay attention to local politics, and I do try to stay aware as much as an American can. I do look at rights and responsibilities a lot, and I'm a strong kind of Constitution Amendment person. I think that things ought to be fairly set in stone and followed, not favors. If it's the law, it's the law, and we all do it. If it's the rule, it's the rule, and we all follow it. I don't have a problem with that. If everyone doesn't like it, collectively vote and change the rule. I like the idea of democracy. Years ago, I asked my father, who's a really brilliant physics and math guy, what do you think about democracy? And he said, man, it's okay if everybody's smart and educated. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, everybody's voting, right? Everybody gets to choose what they want. And if they're all dumb, how well do you think democracy is going to work? Yeah, we're kind of getting there, So don't be surprised when politics don't work for you personally. What I do work on and what I do believe in is personal success and authenticity. You can bring your individual person into a really magnificent way by working on yourself, your spiritual energy, your intellectual energy, your dedication, your hard work, your compassion and helpfulness. You can manifest a magnificent life of clarity and moral solidness. So that is where you have the power personally. So I recommend that everyone who's whining and complaining about the world around them to take a look at yourself and get busy on the things you can fix and mend. Okay, so that is my first set of predictions for the United States. I still think that there's going to be some pretty negative endings for Trump's people. I think there's still going to be some throwing under the bus and more violence. I hate to say that, around him and his politics. And the people who are losing aren't going to go quietly into this soft night. I'm channeling this stuff. Don't look this stuff up. I don't really know that steel is produced in that region, and I don't know that all the pharmaceutical companies are there. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing, okay? So I do go look up things, and I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. Turned out to be right. I want to say this really clearly. The way things are manufactured and made in the globe, raw materials are everywhere, and they're mined, cut, absorbed, whatever, however we get them, minerals, rocks, trees, chemicals, etc., oil. And then they're processed many times, usually multiple times, to get them into various mediums to be used to make something that we use, either products or energy. And it used to be that wherever something was mined or bought, or cut or grown, was where they made the thing. We know, though, from trade routes from 10,000 years ago, that stuff was already traveling all over the world from different countries. Gold, silver, iron ore, mineral pigment, certain kinds of trees, sheep wool that was particularly nice to make cloaks out of, better rocks. They brought stuff to Stonehenge from like 70 or 80 miles away. Is that right? I think it's about right. But today, because of transportation, we have tremendous movement of raw material around the planet, and then it is put into various manufacturing locations to create more products, which then travel somewhere else to go into final product making. So when we say let's buy American made, what we think is that the stuff is grown and harvested in the United States, and it stays in our boundary and goes into one of our factories or plants, and we create the end result. It's just not how it works. But I do want to say this. If you can shop and buy local and small, regionally, and follow the line from the harvesting of the product of the material to the production of the thing, the final thing, and know that a little bit more. You will have a little bit more control, definitely, for instance, over what you eat and put in your body, foods, water, vitamins, etc. And then the things you use in your household and in your lifestyle, you'll know a little bit more about where they've been and where they come from. And in so doing, you will be able to choose companies and places that you think are better for you. And I'd like to give that as an assignment to really do the history of what you're buying, okay? Now what I want to ask is, and I did readings last night with a fellow psychic about New Orleans, because that's where we live and that's what we're really interested in for us. So I wanted to put down very simple, very large, and New Orleans got great cards. I was so excited because we're really worried about our town. It's really in bad shape right now. Everything's closed. Jobs are missing. Tourism is way down, as it should be. I'm not saying it shouldn't be. Sorry, I got something in my eyeball. And people are really hurting. The evictions are going in. Unemployment's running out, etc. So I was thinking about how we're all going to do here, and what, personally for me, always backup plans. I've always got plan B and plan C because I can see the world around me as a shit show. It's gambling. So I want to make sure to have poker tables set up in different places so I can go win at different ones. Anyway, so I feel good about New Orleans. So those of you who live here, the things are going to return, and the foot traffic is going to come back, and the money's going to flow, and the energy is going to come back. So stay if you can and help each other right now and help bring that to be. So for the United States, I'm going to do 6 cards, and they're going to talk about 12 months, January through December of 2021. And I just want to sort of see what it looks like for the whole U.S. And this will be health and economy generally, because that's what we're asking about. I mean, these are practical readings. Go above our brains into the infinite field, finding true and accurate facts and information. Bring that down to us onto the table into the reading. The universe is infinite. It contains all information. We're seeking truth and finding it now in ways we understand comfortably and easily for our viewers about the United States of America in 2021. Good. It's pretty much equally good, which I'm really glad to see. One more thing I want to say about the Northeast and politics. We are all very hyper-focused on our candidate in Republican or Democrat. Don't forget, it's 50-50. The Senate is probably still going to turn out to be majority Republican. And many people in politics didn't vote for and do not want Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It's not an automatic, complete tilt of the wheel in any way. Politics, power, and money are embedded in the globe everywhere, and they are multinational. So people are worried about this country being puppeted by other countries. First of all, the human race is one race. Don't start thinking about us in opposition to each other. That will lead you to a dead end. The human race is puppeted by the most wealthy people. That's all that you need to think about. They don't live in a country. It's not the Russians, the Chinese, the Indians, the Americans. That's backward. That's old style thinking. It is the multinational elite financially. That's the upper room. That is the power. They have dual citizenships, and they have visas to many countries, and they own property in many countries, and they have bank accounts in many countries. Do not be confused about that. That's the power source. That little group control the globe. So when you start thinking that way, I think it's going to help you really understand a little bit more about what you can do personally in your life, how to gain more control over your personal life. The U.S., January, February, we reach out to each other, apologize, and help each other. Our children are doing better than we expect. Schools are staying open. Whether you agree with that or not, the socialization and the activities for young people seems better and strong. Anyone who's been in the Civil War, brothers went to two different sides and fought and killed each other. After that, many fences were mended, and they came back to the same home of the mother and embraced and cried. Let that happen in this country. Let it happen. There's a renovation of homes and buildings. I think housing prices stay really strong. I think the rental market is floppy, but everyone's got to have a house. People move in together that maybe were used to living alone, brothers and sisters, parents and children. Friends come together to make a better lifestyle by community and by cooperation. That's valuable. That's valuable. Reach out to people around you that you can trade with and help. There's a really beautiful sense in January of coming together again to do good works for people. And the rest of the globe says, you know, U.S., you're kind of an ass, but we still like you and need you. Let's try to get along a little better. I like that. January, February, March, April. I think that I always like ACEs. They show initiations and startings of big new things. This is money, property, land, business. I already said I thought the economy took a big hit. It still is taking a big hit. There's a big chunk that's going to really suffer. But on top of that, the layering is magnificent, and I think there's a lot of business and trade in the globe, and the U.S. gets a good share of it. Real estate prices stay strong. Interest rates stay low. I think that the general powers that be know that when you ravage and pillage a country the size of the United States, it's going to really ripple throughout the globe, and it's not really what they want. You know, who wants the United States brought to their knees financially? Maybe intellectually, but not financially. So start your businesses. I said this in every video. You have skills and expertise. Start working. Call people up. I can do these things. Do you need help with this? Here's what I charge per hour. You don't need to rely on the man to give you a job. Go out and work. Do real estate investment. Start your businesses. Banking is good. And I do believe that a lot of the money set up to get to the people, you know, like the business loans and the funding and the food banks and that stuff, it's taken a while, but I do think it's happening, and I think we're going to see more results from that in 2021. January, February, March, April, you will have to pay your taxes April 15th. You know what? They're still not done with last year's. I love watching the IRS psychically. They're a big boogeyman. There's not that many of them, though. They have very little power because they don't have any people. Money's not really, the IRS is kind of a, you know, thing to get money out of the working class. That's all. January, February, March, April, May, June, meh. But guess what? Coronavirus is getting meh. Nice. I like that. I do think that people are taking the vaccine. Some don't want to. I don't have any problem with whether you want to or not. Here's the facts on the ground. If you take the vaccine or have had coronavirus and then therefore have antibodies to coronavirus, you will be much less likely to contract it. It's about you. If you don't want to take the vaccine and you want to stay vulnerable to it as a virus, go for it. You know, I'm not a big vaccine person. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not a big medical person. I don't want things shot into my bloodstream as a 7-week-old baby for weeks on end. I don't think it's a good idea. But I know that when my daughter went to Ghana to study music in Africa, and she said, do you think I should get the malaria and the hepatitis, and the, it wasn't hepatitis, what is it when you step on a nail? Yeah, that, when you step on a nail. And some of the other like lethal and deadly things that were circulating in Africa. I was like, yeah, I think you probably ought to get those vaccines. Do them separately and do them farther apart. In other words, if you're going to take the vaccine, do it on a healthy day. Take your vitamins. You have control over your body. You do. The world tells you you don't. That's bullshit. Eat right, breathe right, move right. Take your vitamins. Meditate every day. Strengthen your aura. Strengthen your immune system with your mind. It will at least help you 20%. It's not everything, but it will help you. So January, February, March, April, May, June, we're getting to really go back to work and really get the flow rolling, because there's enough vaccination and immunity in the population. And those that don't want to do it can stay home longer. And all of us can still wear our masks through most of the year. I see that. It's a wise decision. It's going to take a long time for everyone to get either immunity one way or the other. July, August, all those people that had sex and got pregnant are finally getting married. They probably need to. I don't know, whatever people want. They're not going to, you know what's not going to happen? They're not going to revoke same-sex marriage. They're not going to. And they're not going to outlaw abortions nationally. They're not. Not in 2021. I never say never. You know, things change all the time. We cooperate with other countries. We're really on the mend. We've got a lot of healing going on between people. And intimacy and social gatherings will really be able to get going July, August. So people who have got plans for events, conventions, celebrations, weddings, etc., July, August is kind of the marker that you'll be able to do as you want. September, October, reorganizing of businesses and people, creative competition. I think really this has a lot to say about what I've been feeling about this reorganization of businesses and careers. Many of my clients are changing profession, not just changing jobs. They're taking advantage of this general upheaval to do something differently themselves. And by the end of the year, November, December, we're leaving troubled waters behind and moving into clearer, cleaner spaces. Many of us will have moved on into something that's maybe not what we love, you know, changed residences, dealt with our family members, been without. But the ending of that is coming by the end of 2021. I remember predicting that I thought the coronavirus event was going to be about a 3-year event. I'm still going to say that. I think 2021 certainly gets better and better every month for us as a people and economically. But the toll is not going to be seen until a few years later, when the analysis and the condensation of the information really comes out. The death of the elderly and the lower socioeconomic classes and the isolated will be high. And again, we will see in this country that the bottom economic group has suffered the most. And I believe that we continue to allow that. But I think more people's eyes will be open to that. And in their individual town and family, they will say, what can I do to help these people around me who don't quite have what they need in rights and abilities? And I do think we become much more individuated and working on ourselves personally. But by the end of the year, travel is resumed very strongly. International travel is strong. Don't forget, the coronavirus vaccine isn't going to happen as quickly in second and third world countries as it is in first world countries. There's going to be a lot of coronavirus in the world for 2 more years, a lot. And I won't say that new viruses don't come up. So don't assume everything's going back to normal. It will get better, but things will be different, and they will be different from now on. But we'll certainly feel better about things by the end of the year. And I predict a lot of business and a lot of moving and a lot of new activity for folks, but a lot of mending and helpfulness and goodness. That's my ideas for the day in 43 minutes and 10 seconds. I love you all, and I will see you soon for more exciting predictions.